The Clinton murder you've never heard of.
Mr. Reagan.
Long ago, maybe 2 years ago, I can't remember exactly, but I made a video detailing the reasons why some people believe that the Clintons are murderers. Now, I broke down the conspiracy theories. I presented my opinion about which instances I thought were valid to speculate that the Clintons may have been involved, and which instances I thought, were a bit of a stretch. And I went through and I talked about some of the more interesting deaths. I made the point that this conspiracy theory is actually a pretty reasonable one because there are just so many people that the Clintons have known that have died in really bizarre ways. At the age of Bill and Hillary Clinton, you're naturally going to have known several people in your life that have died. But for the most part, those people will have died in the usual way. They'll have died of cancer, or they'll have died of a heart attack, or maybe a few of them will have died, maybe of something a little bit more tragic like alcoholism or a car accident. But the Clintons, they have known a lot of people who have died in car accidents. In fact, the Clintons have known a lot of people who were murdered. Look, maybe you know somebody who was murdered. Well, they know 57. Now, this number varies depending upon which tin hat conspiracy theorist that you ask, but this number is commonly referred to as the Clinton body count. The most famous of these speculated victims is, of course, the notorious scumlord Jeffrey Epstein. Soon after his death, the equally disgusting embodiment of scum, Epstein's associate, Jean-Luc Brunel, was also found dead in his prison cell in Paris, and I made a video about that at the time. But I'm going to push all of those suspected murders to one side for this video because there is another victim that should be on the list of every conspiracy theorist worth his tinfoil hat. And here's the crazy thing. I've never read about him before. And this guy, he was not just talked about on InfoWars or 4chan. This guy was written about in the mainstream corporate press, just not so much here in America. But this story is crazy. I will tell you about this murder in one moment. First, of course, I have to sell you something. Chances are you've been here before. The chaos in the markets, oil and stocks. Just when you thought it was safe and interest rates were rising, new threats come out of nowhere. Tensions are boiling from Asia to Europe. Adaptation is the key here to safeguarding your wealth. You may not have considered gold before, but listen, it's not speculation. This is insurance. And right now, you need some insurance. Noble Gold Investments have been protecting investors from disaster for years with precious metals. So if you're worried, it might be time to take a fresh look at gold and silver. Gold is a proven safe haven shield for your portfolio and a volatility balance against uncertainty. If it helps, Noble Gold Investments is offering a free 3-ounce silver American Virtue coin with its new IRAs this month. If you open your Noble Gold Investments IRA or 401k rollover, you can claim your coin today. Remember, crisis brews, portfolios waver, gold insulates. Secure yourself against the threats. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com right now, noblegoldinvestments.com, the only gold company I trust. All right, so this article was published in 2015. This is an article by the Daily Mail. This is August 2015, so I'm not really sure why this wasn't bigger news. You'd think that since Hillary Clinton was running for president at the time, this would have been massive news, but I don't know. Anyway, the headline reads, "Spy who was found dead in a bag had infuriated his MI6 bosses by illegally hacking into secret U.S. data on Bill Clinton." And you know what? I had not actually started my Mr. Reagan channel at that time, so maybe some of you have heard of this story. But at that time, I guess I wasn't paying close enough attention because I don't know. I never heard about this, and this is mental. So let's go ahead and read through this story. This was written by a woman named Jenny Stanton. The British spy whose body was found padlocked inside a bag in his flat had illegally hacked into secret data on former U.S. President Bill Clinton. It has been revealed. Gareth Williams, 31, was discovered in a holdall in the bath at his London home 5 years ago this month. I don't know what a holdall is, but it was like a big duffel bag. But the mystery surrounding his death has never been solved. Today, it has been revealed that the spy had dug out a guest list for an event Clinton was due to attend as a favor for a friend. The hack breached Mr. Williams' security clearance, and this sparked anger among MI6 bosses as tensions rose with U.S. security services over the spy's transatlantic work, The Sun on Sunday has reported. A source said the Clinton diary hack came at a time when Williams's work with America was of the most sensitive nature. It was a diplomatic nightmare for Sir John Sawyers, the new director of MI6 at the time. The paper has also reported that voicemail messages that Mr. Williams, a maths genius and expert cryptographer, left for family and friends were deleted shortly after his death. Earlier this month, it was revealed that detectives who investigated the mysterious death believed that he was murdered and that his killers then broke back in through the skylight to cover their tracks. The claim centers on the revelation that part of the forensic equipment placed in the flat after the body was found was moved, despite the fact that the building was under armed police guard. So they think that whoever killed this guy, left, somebody found the body, the police came, they put police tape around everything, they had it secured, the location secured, and then somebody came back into the skylight and cleaned up their tracks. The theory supports the family's suspicions that he was murdered by agents specializing in the dark arts of the Secret Services. Oh, wow. Okay, so they've got photos here. This is not the dead body of the guy in the duffel bag. This is a yoga expert trying to lock himself inside an identical bag, and it's impossible. He can't do it. Originally, it was suspected, or it was claimed by the police, which is completely insane, that this guy had, for some reason, put himself into this duffel bag and then just died in there, which is completely insane. Of course, that did not happen. Mr. Williams had been working with the American National Security Agency in Washington before returning to London, where he underwent training and was sent on active operations. The exact nature of his work remains a closely guarded secret, but sources claim he dealt with equipment that tracked the flow of cash from Russia to Europe. The technology enabled MI6 to follow money trails from bank accounts in Russia to criminal European gangs, or maybe to American politicians. One theory is that Mr. Williams had disrupted a mafia ring closely linked to the Russian state. Cars registered to the Russian embassy were spotted near his Pimlico flat just days before his body was discovered on August 23, 2010. Mr. Williams was last seen alive on August 15th. A crime in the car was seen near his property that day. Other lines of inquiry, also dismissed by the Metropolitan Police at the time, were that he was killed by MI6 or American agents after stumbling on sensitive data, or because he threatened to make secret intelligence public. There were also claims Mr. Williams may have been killed by a lover during a bizarre sex game. Coroner Dr. Fiona Wilcox, who heard the 2012 inquest into his death, criticized MI6 for failing to report the spy had been missing for a week, saying this caused extra suffering for his family and led to the loss of forensic evidence. The delay, for which MI6 apologized, also meant a Home Office pathologist was unable to find a cause of death. Dr. Wilcox concluded that Mr. Williams' death was unnatural and likely to have been criminally mediated. She said she was satisfied on the balance of the probabilities that Gareth was killed unlawfully, as it was likely someone else that had put his body in the bag and locked it. Wow. Doesn't necessarily take a genius to figure that out. But a year later, Scotland Yard ended a review of the investigation saying it was more likely Williams had locked himself in the bag and that no one else was involved. Wow. Scotland Yard has fallen a long way since the good old days of Sherlock Holmes novels. This is despite there being no traces of Mr. Williams' own DNA on the padlock of the bag that he was found in. His palm prints were not found on the bathtub which held the bag. Another theory was that Mr. Williams was poisoned. Former Detective Chief Inspector Colin Sutton was the most senior officer on the scene when he arrived at Mr. Williams' flat in Pimlico on August 23, 2010. He thought the flat was unusually warm when he arrived, claiming the heating was turned up to its maximum setting, possibly to assist with decomposition. He said if he had been poisoned, then the chemical compounds might have vanished by the time toxicology results were conducted. So that's it. This guy looks up data, dirt, presumably, on Bill Clinton, and then he's murdered. This is one of the most insane stories I've ever read in my life. I don't understand why this is not a big story, like why everybody doesn't know about this story. I mean, look, obviously this guy did not kill himself, but, and actually at one point I read in another article that a Russian agent had taken the blame for this, and he said that the Russians did this, like killed this guy. And I find that very interesting because maybe this is an early example of Russian collusion. Russian collusion, that is, between the Russians and the Clintons. All right, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Remember to buy all my overpriced crap on Teespring, or throw some money my way with a super thanks, or maybe give me some money on Patreon. Until next time, remember, it's not that all liberal friends are ignorant, it's just they know so much that is not so. Good night.